Welcome to the Idea Lab. I'm Neely McQueen, and I'm here with Bo Boshers. Bo, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks. First of all, it's good to have an opportunity to speak with people I have a passion for, and that's youth leaders around the country, obviously. But, right now I'm a president of what the ministry called Lead 222, which stands for 2 Timothy 2:2, which is my life verse. And really the ministry's focus is to bring together practitioners, youth workers around the country who are focused on sharpening one another in their personal character and professional skills. So it's diving into mentoring and coaching up one another because I really believe with all my heart that healthy leaders lead healthy ministries. So that's kind of the idea behind that.
Yeah, I've heard that statement. I know that YS has partnered with Lead 222 in the past at the conferences and at this conference.
That's right.
For coaching, and you've said that statement even now, healthy leaders produce healthy ministries. Kind of unpack that a little bit for me.
You know, what really led me to really start Lead 222 was when I was having an opportunity to travel around and talk to youth leaders, and we talk about strategy and what was happening in their middle schools, high school strategy, and they really had a gear for that and passion for that. But it didn't take long for me to finally look at them and go, hey, brother, how are you doing? And they would normally look at me and say, I'm doing okay, but then I would repeat that question. And, when they had enough trust with me at this point to say, no, how are you really doing? What I found is that most of these youth workers were isolated. No one was really intentionally, and that's the key word, putting into their lives. And so that really led me to say, we got to change this, because I really found that if a leader is healthy, and you have to define health, all right, I get that. I'm not talking about to have it all together, but I'm talking about a leader who has taken responsibility for their own self-leadership. And a portion of that means they're going to have someone speaking into their lives to make sure that they're staying focused and pure on what they want to do, and that's love Jesus.
So let's talk about the statistic of youth workers who leave ministry after it's 18 months. Is that what it is?
There are statistics that say 18. I think that's moved up a little bit, where some will say maybe 2 years, but to 3 years. But regardless of what the stat is, I think the issue of why youth leaders leave is many times, again, because they find themselves isolated, and all of a sudden they've taken steps away from innocence. They found themselves overwhelmed with areas. They found there's not a safe community for them. Many times they're often, because they are living in isolation and there's no one to speak to, they find they're living with secrets, and eventually that just, disqualifies themselves by making a mistake themselves, or just to the point like, I give up. There's just too much pressure.
How do you find safe community?
Well, you have to, it's not an easy question, but I think you have to be intentional with what are you looking for? We use our values in Lead, and we talk about, authentic community comes from a place where I believe all of us want to be loved and known. But the pressure is, especially in youth ministry, if you knew me, you wouldn't love me. Or if you knew me, I'd get fired, because I don't have any place to process all the pressures I'm feeling. Youth work is hard. And so I think that we have to, first of all, allow ourselves a opportunity to say, we care for you, we love you. You can seek out people to speak truth into your life. And so it starts with us. We talked about the idea, I think youth culture needs to change. And that's one of the things I think needs to change, is that we need safe places to go. We're all messed up.
And I've heard you guys say that the youth ministry culture needs to change. If it changed, what should it look like?
Well, our vision is that I really do, and I say the ones even listening here, I really believe that I would love to see God change it to where the point where it was natural. It was just natural for youth leaders, especially full-time youth pastors in local church, where it was natural for them to have a mentor in their lives, where it was a lifestyle. Now, here's the big deal. The reason I think that'll change youth ministry culture, if these leaders are living it, where they have someone in their life that they can speak truth in, someone wiser and older. I think also peers that they're doing the same season of life with, and then investing in someone younger. I think that gets to even the bigger question that if they live that, students will see it. And back to Philippians 4:9, when Paul talks about what you see, what you've learned, what you've heard, I believe students today cannot live out what they haven't seen. So that living it, I think students will say, all right, I get it. And when they go away to college, they're going to seek out someone to speak in their life. They're not going to be isolated. They're going to live this, we call it the Be With constellation.
That's great. That's really good. I think it ties in a little bit to this idea that people are leaving the church because we're alone at church. But if we're tied to someone, if we're connected, if we have a mentor, mentorship's interesting. I've been fortunate to always have someone in my life. But how do you find someone? If someone's watching this and they think, I am desperate for a mentor, how do they connect with Lead 222? How do they get a mentor?
Yeah, well, again, a great question. And, I think it starts with, and I don't mean this in a real quick answer. It starts with prayer, saying what is the need in my life? And I think in the constellation of mentor, if I'm looking for a mentor, I'm trying to seek out the need in my life. If I'm newly married and, I need to find someone that models to me what a husband or wife looks like, or a parent, someone who's really has a family life. And then I'd seek them out. I would keep the bar extremely high. I'd go after people that I see in them, something I want to emulate in my own life. And if I saw that in you, and I wouldn't go up and say, would you mentor me? I'd freak you out, and you'd be like, what do you mean? But I would say, would you have a cup of coffee with me? And then what I think it starts with is saying, listen, I noticed what you have. You have a character that I want in my life. Would you help me? And would you answer some of these questions? And then I think you take it to the next step.
And is that part of changing the culture? Because I feel a little bit like churches, not only as individuals do we isolate, but churches isolate. Like, it's not normal to look outside of your church for help, like in your community. There's something about that. Because if I'm going to find a mentor in youth ministry, I'm going to have to look somewhere else at another church, correct? How do we change that culture of like isolating our churches from each other?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I think the idea of looking outside your church is, for youth leaders, I think it becomes possibly a safer place. And I also like the idea that it's, often Christians live in this Christian bubble. And where, and youth leaders, it's so difficult. So you're working so hard, and you have just so many certain people around you that you have time for. But I think when you're intentional to seek outside the church, so we don't always talk about ministry, but more life. I think that's a healthy thing. As far as within the church, I think youth leaders can change the culture within the church by stepping out to these people that are sometimes we think have nothing to offer. I really challenge youth leaders on that. I think there's people in the church that older that would love to invest in them.
Yeah, that's good. That's a really good word. If someone's watching and they want to get connected with coaching or being a member of Lead 222, how would they do that?
Yeah, well, thanks. You guys think, just check out our webpage at lead222.com, and that gives you some information on how to take a step to become a member or become what we call a coach, because that's the whole process, become a member and eventually become a coach who's mentoring others. So they can find all the information on our webpage.
Thank you so much, Bo, for spending some time with us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And thank you guys for joining us for the Idea Lab.